So today we'll discuss about back again coherent states and along with it squeezed light. So far we have introduced two non-classical light. One is so-called subpoissonian, and then another manifestation is your so-called what do you call that, squeezed, and sorry, subpoissonian, and other one is what? Other one just last we discussed. So yeah, anti-bunched. So anti-bunched, they are actually, we have tried to explain that they are not exactly same. They are particularly subpoissonian can be bunched, anti-bunched, and again anti-bunched can be subpoissonian as well as poissonian. So, but their origin, they can be originated depending on your device architecture experimental observation. So that is whole thing. So ultimately it depends on what type of non-classical light you can generate. That depends on type of your experiment, type of your device. Today another type of non-classical nature will explain, that is called squeezed light. And so squeezed light, to discuss that, we go back a bit with the classical explanation of electromagnetic wave. You would remember that we have introduced this expression earlier, that is in equation 221 to 22. That's I think maybe 7-8 lectures before. So energy density we could express in terms of vector potential, and this vector potential, instead of expressing energy density in terms of electric field, magnetic field, a single term was single variable we have introduced, that is called vector potential. And by defining suitable following Maxwell's equation, we could show that this is nothing but kind of x variable of a quantum harmonic oscillator, total energy of the quantum harmonic, classical harmonic oscillator, I would say. So that is actually kinetic energy and potential energy. So the first term is the kinetic energy type things, and second term is similar to potential energy. And comparing 362 and this potential energy and kinetic energy, total energy of a harmonic oscillator, we could say that the vector potential is analogous to position, epsilon 0 is analogous to equivalent to mass, mu 0 equivalent to 1 by mc square, kc square is equal to this one. So this we have expressed earlier, right? Then we moved on to, so that because we have already solved this harmonic oscillator, simple harmonic oscillator in a quantum, solved quantum mechanically, and then we found that okay, the mode can have different photon number, and then we move on to the photon statistics, right? Poissonian, super Poissonian, sub Poissonian, and then later on we move on to kind of bunch, anti-bunching, all those type of thing we discussed. Now we little bit we move from this classical point, starting from classical mode towards quantum nature, quantum mechanical expression. Will be progressing, and we'll try to interpret some other type of light which can be again experimentally demonstrated. Okay, so earlier we have also observed that we started with classical things, and then while doing experiment, if we just start thinking like a quantum nature, then we would expect some different type of outcome which cannot be explained classically. Here also we'll start classically, and then we'll see that from classical point of view we end up, if we mix up our quantum knowledge, then we'll find that there will be some kind of non-classical outcome can be expected. That is what we will call that as a quantum. So same way, earlier we arrived to this equation considering electromagnetic wave as a mode. A single k means one particular wave vector, one particular mode, and for that mode, one monochromatic, of course, what is the vector potential we have expressed. Now we treat them a little bit different. Actually, different book they have treated differently to explain this quiz slide. Completely more quantum mechanical way people use some books I have seen. But in this textbook, whatever we are following, this Fox quantum optics book, that is actually relatively easier to understand for the beginners, actually, at least. So here we took that example of a simple 1D resonator. That means earlier for a mode, what we consider that there will be some kind of standing wave will be generated, but length can be infinitely extended. Similar fashion here also we will consider just 1D length, and there electromagnetic wave is stored as a standing wave. Okay, so that means there will be forward propagating wave, and there will be backward propagating wave, and then you can get some kind of standing wave. So standing wave means it is a superposition of two traveling wave traveling in opposite direction. Correct? So if you consider a cavity, one-dimensional you consider, one-dimensional cavity, it is stretched maybe along z-axis. So z equal to 0 to z equal to L. Okay, and then you imagine that it's a cavity, both side mirror will be there. So forward and backward propagating wave will be there. At any point z, if you just add forward propagating wave and backward propagating wave to find out what is the amplitude of the field there at particular point. I think I don't have figure here to explain. You can imagine that a cavity like this, and from this side, this is a mirror, another side mirror, and z equal to total length is L. And then at a particular point z along the length of the cavity, you try to find what is the, at any instant of time, what is the total field. You have to find what is the forward propagating wave at that particular instant, and what is the backward propagating wave at that particular instant and that particular coordinate. So one is e to the power j omega t minus beta z or kz, another will be e to the power j omega t plus kz. So if you do that, if you add them, then you get this type of expression for the electric field. So electric field will be like this. So this is actually expression for a standing wave, jet dependent, time dependent standing wave. Basically superposition of forward propagating and backward propagating waves. So this is coming frequency omega, time dependent, and E0 is the amplitude. So at any point z, the sine kz is fixed now, right? Sine kz is fixed, and E naught will be there, and then whatever value will be coming, that will be amplitude, and as a function of time it will be oscillating with a frequency omega at any point z. Similarly, if you use your Maxwell's equation to find out, suppose this is your electric field, apply your, and this is in x direction, propagating in z direction, and field polarization only x direction we are defining. Then you can actually, using Maxwell's equation, it is easy, you can find out what would be the magnetic field. So magnetic field we consider y direction. We are just assuming a plane wave, basically. One direction, plane wave, it is propagating along z direction. In the xy plane, it is constant. Okay. xy direction, there is no field variation will be there. It is propagating only plane wave, it is propagating along z direction. So magnetic field will be, if you just solve, then you will be getting if it is sine kz sine omega t, that will be cos kz cos omega t, you can explain. Okay, so that is in the y direction. You can use in a complex form e to the power j omega t exponential form. But here we are just taking the just superposition. It is coming like a real value, so we are putting down as a real expression. Okay. So in this expression, actually, we see that because it is, we are considering just free space, cavity is some no material is there. Even if it is there, it is homogeneous, uniform, so nothing is there. So that in that case, I see that you can see that this electric field and magnetic field, if you just look, this is a one at any point, if you see jet, and this is at any point jet, and if you just compare them, they are actually one is sin omega t, another is cos omega t. That means at any instant of time they are pi by 2 phase shifted, electric field and magnetic field, and this is a constant amplitude. So at a particular point, it is a cos function will be there. You are just looking at a particular point. So today, whatever I will be discussing most of the time, that total energy, and or maybe at any particular point, what is the total energy and how they are behaving. So that way we are just expressing. So this is clear. I think this is straightforward. You get from Maxwell's equation, just forgetting vector potential. Okay. And then you try to get, this is your, from the, again, Maxwell's equation, we know that what is the energy density of an electromagnetic wave, instantaneous energy density, if you try to find. We write E at any point z. At any point z, what is the energy density? That means how much energy will be there per unit volume. So that is again coming from your all the Poynting vector, everything, total energy we have. You can get any electromagnetic book. So this expression known, half epsilon E square, right? Half epsilon E square and plus magnetic energy will be half mu H square. So here magnetic field or magnetic induction, that is By, and instead of H we are writing just By. So this is just energy density. This one is the energy associated with electric field, and this is energy associated with the magnetic field. It's something like that. You can imagine that this is a kind of energy stored like a capacitive property of a capacitance property of a medium, and this is actually inductive property of the medium. So inductance and capacitance, they actually somehow that actually that type of property is there even in free space. So that actually holds the energy like this in a circuit point of view, if we just analyze. Now this is energy density. Now if I try to find out total instantaneous energy, total inside the cavity, totally how much is there. So this is whatever we are finding, that is at z equal to at a particular certain z UZT. So if I have a cavity of length 0 to L, and cavity has a cross section, suppose A is the cross section, then what I would do, I will just integrate, because this is a distribution, energy is distribution. At any instant of time, if I try to find out what is the total energy, then I have to integrate 0 to L multiplied A, right? So if I try to find out only electrical energy, only this first part, and if you just put down here EXZT, what I will do, I will be just inserting here this expression, this one. This is the electric field, and its square. And its square, if you just do, of course, it is sin omega t term is there, sin square omega t term will be there, that sin square omega t term will be coming like that. And Ex square means you will have E dot square sin square kz. So this sin square kz, you have to dz, you have to integrate 0 to L. Sin square you can convert into half and multiply 2, then 1 minus cos 2 kz, and just putting the limit. And of course you should remember that this field is such that, at z equal to 0, electric field will be 0, right? So since it is a resonance, k is the propagation vector, so z equal to L also, this should be equal to 0. So that means you are putting sin kl should be also equal to 0. So that means if limit at 0 comes, you can find sin 0 whatever the value, and the other part is sin kl, there also the boundary values so you can easily get. And you are assuming some L will be there, A times L, that you are considering as a volume. Some L will be there. So if you just simplify, this is straightforward. You get this is the energy associated with the electric field. Okay. So similarly, this is a total energy. I have integrated entire cavity. So the cavity, if it is volume is very large, that energy is very large. If volume is small, that energy will be less. Of course, that depends on your frequency and amplitude. All those type of things are there. Okay. So similarly, I just calculate the magnetic field energy. Energy associated with the magnetic field. Total energy. I'm just integrating from the energy density. Same expression I will be using here. Vy is there. So I will be just using Vy square. And if I just again integrate, and then we will be getting same formula, same boundary condition we will be using. You can try yourself also whether you are getting or not. 1 over 4 mu 0 Vb naught square. That's the amplitude cos square omega t. Right? So the total, I think that should be equal sign. This total energy will be this one. No? So you are integrating over everything, then you will be getting total energy. So total energy is this one. Okay. So V times 4 and then epsilon 0 E naught square sin square omega t cos square omega t. So this is very interesting. You see this energy, or maybe if you compare this to 366 and 367. So if you are looking into the instantaneous energy, you see that it is sin square, it is cos square. So that means when energy associated with the electric field is 0, that time energy associated with the magnetic field will be maximum, and vice versa. So that means it is something in a cavity mode, energy shuttles back from electrical energy to magnetic energy and back again. It's completely, it will go to magnetic energy and then come back to electrical energy. So this is beautiful. It is something like that, your harmonic oscillator. It's kind of pendulum is oscillating, simple harmonic oscillator is there. So it attained highest kinetic energy at one point, and then potential energy will be reduced, kinetic energy will be reduced, potential energy will be increased. So energy goes back and forth from kinetic energy to potential energy. Here also, in a cavity, total energy, if you see, as a function of time, if you just try, as a function of time, if you try to see where the energy going. So at one point, see, total energy is gone to electric field completely. And then after sometimes it will be slowly it is drained to magnetic field, and magnetic field will be acquiring entire energy. In between there will be both. So there will be some kind of time period will be there, and that is something like that, as if you have a circuit connected with a inductor and capacitor. So energy can go back and forth. It is like an oscillator. Okay, so cavity is something like that. You can imagine like an oscillator where energy goes back and forth between electric field to magnetic field to electric field. That way it goes. Okay, so that's the total energy we are just putting down. Oops, this is, yeah. So now this is whatever I said, that is summarized here. Okay. Now for an obvious reason, we can define two new coordinates, because we somehow we could actually correlate. We could correlate that energy of a cavity mode is somewhat similar to your simple harmonic oscillator. The same argument we discussed earlier with in terms of vector potential and the equation wise. Okay, so in this case, what we do, you know, one is sin omega t, another is cos omega t. This expression, if you see, cos square omega t, sin square omega t. So here, what we do, what is happening, I don't know. Yeah. So here, what is there? We are defining two different coordinates called qt and pt, just to compare simple harmonic oscillator mathematically without considering your vector potential or whatever we discussed here. So qt, some coordinate, it will be clearer a little later. So you just express something like that epsilon, this is actually this type of expression it is considered so that ultimately at the end of the day you get a very nice formula. So people expected some nice formula at the end. So to get that nice formula, what are the expression you are considering for Qt and PT? So that means something Qt you are considering is equivalent to displacement of a harmonic oscillator. Time dependent displacement. They are normally xt. If you solve simple harmonic oscillator, xt equal to x naught sine omega t, right? So similarly here for electric field, if we express something like that Qt, that's the kind of position or displacement. This is your xt sine omega t. Okay, xt sine omega t, and we are writing this. This is Qt is proportional to displacement of a simple harmonic oscillator having a mass m. Okay, but you are scaling like this. This is just kind of you don't try to find y square root m or something like that. Later on it will be clear why it is considered. If you consider this, you get a nice, you could consider, without considering this you could also proceed, but at that time at the end you have to interpret. Instead of that from the beginning we are just assuming like this. Okay, similarly if I just try to define PT equal to epsilon 0 b by 2 square root epsilon 0 cos omega t. You know, one is for a simple harmonic oscillator, one is displacement, another is velocity. Two things we consider, displacement or momentum or velocity, whatever we consider. So similarly, if you just consider the velocity normally they normally pi by 2 phase shifted. Always momentum as well as your position, if you see, they are pi by 2 phase shifted. So here also that is associated to the magnetic field, and you are writing magnetic field again you can express in terms of electric field. You know, magnetic field and electric field, they are defined by eta naught, right? So eta naught by square root of mu naught by epsilon naught. So if you just convert that one, you are getting like this. And this one, you imagine that that is actually proportional to 1 over square root of m pxt. Okay, so basically we are introducing two, just once again, this is a little bit, if you may think that this is a bit complicated, but it is actually very simple. We are trying to introduce two coordinates so that this coordinate I am expressing in terms of electric field, volume, all other constant, but sine omega t. This sine omega t, if we consider, basically sine omega t is equivalent to your simple harmonic oscillators, just a pendulum or just a spring attached mass. That is actually position displacement we can define, and another is the momentum. So Qt and Pt equivalent we are expressing. Now 368 becomes, now 368 equation 368, this total energy. Total energy here, this is the expression, and I have introduced these two parameter. That means I know what is the value of E0 sine omega t. E0 sine omega t equal to Qt divided by this one, and E0 cos omega t equal to this one divided by Pt. Okay, so if I just use that one here, 368 here, so E0 sine omega t and B0 or B0 cos omega t, whatever the value I am just putting here, then this total energy becomes like this, half p square plus omega square q square. So now you imagine that why this complicated, just some kind of odd expressions are there. If you just use them, then total energy will become like this, half p square plus omega square q square, and that will be, if you just p and q, if you just express like this, then actually harmonic oscillator expression comes. So you see, two things. We are trying to introduce coordinate Qt related to sine omega t things and Pt related to cos omega t terms, right? And then we use some kind of some expression here such that you get a very nice formula like this. And from here again, P and Q, if you express like this, they are actually coming like what is your known classical harmonic oscillator, right? Now you know this is your classical harmonic oscillator expression total energy. You know that if you treat this harmonic oscillator, meaning a mass in a parabolic potential, right? And you solve Schrodinger equation, then you know that you get a solutions. This we have already earlier seen. That's why I've just put in a red mark that energy can be expressed like n half h cut omega, and then for classically this position and displacement and momentum uncertainty is the greater than or equal to h bar by 2. So if this delta x delta px it is the ground state, this is exactly h bar by 2. If it is higher state, this uncertainty will become more and more. So minimum will be h bar by 2 for the ground state, that we have discussed earlier, and before quiz 1 we discussed. And this is the thing. And then when we compared this one with the electromagnetic wave, we found that a particular mode, this n is nothing but your number of photon in a mode, number of photons, right? So this is basically number of photons, and then your 0 point energy, everything we discussed. Fantastic. But how it helps here, we will be from here up till here, whatever we have shown here, that is a harmonic oscillator. Then from harmonic oscillator, we are just giving a quantum analogy, because we know that any harmonic oscillator can be solved quantum mechanically, and quantum mechanical solutions will be something different. That much we came to know from here, and this uncertainty will be there. And then we try to relate slightly a different thing here. So you see, again come back. So that part is there. We'll just come back to that point a little later. Before going to that, why I'm trying to putting here these things, because you know, I want to relate this n with the field strength of the mode. You know, earlier we could easily calculate classically, semi-classically, right? If you have this much power and this much intensity, then how many photon flux you could calculate quickly, right? From the intensity to photon flux, number of photons, how much it is there, or energy to photon number, you can easily calculate. But if we can try to show that this n, some number of photons, how it is related to amplitude, always you can calculate how it is related to amplitude, right? Because if this much is the energy, then this much will be the number, always you know. But quantum mechanically, you know, this 0 point energy is there, and also you have uncertainties there. So this 0 point energy as well as this uncertainty also will occur for any mode, any field strength. So that means you can think of, just try to why we are we are actually discussing in this direction is very straightforward to understand. You know that if it is a harmonic oscillator, you know there is an uncertainty in position and momentum. Now, if your electromagnetic wave, if you are just expressing that in like a quantum harmonic oscillator, then there also some kind of uncertainty will play a role, similar type of position and momentum uncertainty will be there. So that uncertainty in terms of q and p will be there, because that these are the coordinate. This is kind of position coordinate, this is kind of momentum coordinate. So that type of uncertainty is there. So from that uncertainty, what you can actually conclude, what you can interpret, and what could be the outcome for your experiment, and if you can solve some of those quantum mechanical problem or not. That is what we try to understand. So we want to impose this uncertainty in electromagnetic wave, electromagnetic mode, as we have already compared it to a quantum harmonic oscillator. So that's the ultimate goal. So now you come back to this mode, standing wave and mode, that is earlier we have shown that sine kz and sine omega t instead of omega t. Suppose I don't know what time I am initiating, I can consider a certain phase is there initially. Okay, from for t equal to 0, then maybe you have some kind of general expression. We have just introduced some phi is there, phase is there. There's standing wave. This is a standing wave electric field at any point z, and how it will be oscillating as a function of time. Monochromatic, of course, we have just expressed. Just a little bit expand it. This sin omega t plus phi, just wanted to include the phase part actually. If there is a phase, initial phase is there, that phase I just introduce here and then expand it. Then we get this one, and then we decompose into two terms. Because this is sin omega t phi, means sin omega t cos phi, cos omega t sin phi. So I get first term this one and second term this one. So if we just do like that, this phi we have introduced just to bring in that your electric field has really one sin omega t term, another cos omega t term, right? So this is one part, and this is another part, and sin omega t and cos omega t part is there. So it is kind of, I am just trying to express my field in terms of two terms. One will be coefficient of sin omega t, another will be coefficient of cos omega t. Just to show that position and momentum, you have to actually in your hidden mind, subconscious mind, you are thinking that okay, if we can just relate that this one part with sin omega t coefficient, another with coefficient of cos omega t, something like that. So that position and momentum can be related. So that this part we just write at E1z, and this part we write E2z. Okay, so these two part which is not time dependent, but your electric field you decomposed into two components at any point z, decomposed into two components. One will be oscillating with sin omega t function, another will be oscillating with cos omega t function, and that this you can consider as amplitude. These are actually called field quadratures. So these field quadratures, they are actually will be helpful to relate your quantum mechanical interpretation. Okay, so basically we can actually, if this type of phase is there, this one quadrature is that if you see that this is E0 sin kz cos phi, another E2z, that is E0 sin kz sin phi. Okay, so if I just think that this part and this part, what is the difference? Basically, this is a number. If phi is fixed, z is fixed, k is fixed, then this is a number and this is a number. And then that is what? Z is fixed means these are basically amplitude, to amplitude basically. That's a quadrature. And then this quadrature, they are sin omega t, cos omega t. Basically, they are pi by 2 phase difference. Okay. So from that perspective, we can actually express, if I just forget about this time dependent variations, everything, instead of, if we forget, then we can actually try to express this field like this, that one part is cosine phi, E0 z cosine phi, another is just, since it is a pi by 2 phase, if we just introduce a I times this one. So that means you can express this in this E0 z e to the power I phi. That means though it is a standing wave, that field you can put at a particular point like a quadrature or in a phasor form. It has an amplitude and has some kind of phi if you decompose into two parts, right? So that it is shown here that it can be some kind of real part and imaginary part, and then if there one is cos phi and another is sin phi, and then you can see the amplitude. That means now this field associated to a mode, in this case we are considering like a standing wave, but that standing wave can be infinitely extended length of the cavity, you can consider in same way. So we can express that field amplitude and phase. So ultimately what we have shown here that the field we can express in a phasor form, even though it is a standing wave. normally we express in a phasor form e to the power I omega t is plus kz and minus kz. If you are just combining them, that is not like a phasor form. That is actually basically kind of real value it will be coming. But we could decompose that to express in certain way that the amplitude and phase can be. But we need to know what are the quadrature, what would be the quadrature, how they are related to time dependent part. Both the quadrature, they can be time dependent also. Okay. That means E1 and E2, they are actually, you can, this part is time dependent omega t and cos omega t, that is known to you basically. But that you are in at this point you are showing that as a I difference. Now a little bit we understand that okay, we can express in terms of sin omega t coefficient and cos omega t coefficient. And if you see that the sin omega t coefficient and cos omega t coefficient, obviously they are a field, and they have field means dimension is volt per meter, right? This is a field strength dimension volt per meter. But in quantum optics, because you will be just considering either just a number, how many photons, frequency known, energy known, basically number matters actually. So in that case, it would be good to express these quadratures, which is just a number, dimensionless. So we introduced these two quadrature in this form, x1t and x2t. x1t is a sin omega t variation and x2t is a cos omega t variation. And we are just multiplying E naught, the amplitude dependence, and some expression E naught b by 4. Again, why we are introducing this? Basically, if you see the dimension, that dimension is just meter per volt. It will be coming like a meter per volt, and that will be cancelled. And this is just a number. Okay, but this expression will help in future for other things. Just E naught b, you are normalizing basically E naught b by 4 times energy. You substitute this one in 373. These two things, 373 means which one? Here. Here you substitute sin omega t and cos omega t basically. Basically here, in this expression, it will be just E naught cos omega t and E naught sin omega t substitute. Once you introduce this variable, just you are now trying to express your electric field in terms of this dimensionless quadratures. So if you just express, then you are getting this expression. So that means you have sin kz, cos phi, x1t, and sin phi, x2t. x1 and x2t, that is nothing but sin omega t and cos omega t variables are there basically, how they are varying. Just to relate with your harmonic oscillator. That's it. Now, by comparing with equations 369, 370 with this, 369, 370, which one? This thing here. Here we have just introduced this QT and PT, you remember? And there we have sin omega, E naught sin omega t is there. I want to put E naught sin omega t in terms of x1 here also. Okay? With the total field, of course. So this value, if I just put there, compare, E naught will be cancelled, right? Okay, E naught sin omega t I have just put down, cancelled, yeah. So then I just express this, because we know that x1 is expressed this one and x2 is expressed like this. So using that expression, we are just writing down in terms of QT and PT. x1 and x2 also you can express in terms of QT and PT, right? Now, okay, so I just I want to stop here. So now what we have arrived here, that this quadratures x1 and x2t we could relate with the QT and PT. Now you know that this QT and PT, according to this here, you have a position and momentum. They are uncertain, right? They follow the uncertainty principle. That means if PT and QT follow uncertainty principle, then this x1 and x2 also will follow uncertainty principle. So if x1 and x2 x1 and x2 corresponding to this imaginary part and real part, right? Now imagine that x1 and x2 is somewhat uncertain. That means this E0 and phi can be simultaneously uncertain. If you are considering these quadratures are uncertain, that is the real part and imaginary parts are uncertain, that means and some kind of uncertainty will be there, fluctuations will be there, x12 and x2 or this x-axis quadrature and y-axis imaginary part quadrature. That is what we explain. If they are fluctuating, they are uncertain, that means this E0 and phi both are actually can be fluctuating. Okay, so now if that is fluctuating, so what? What is the problem? Now thing is that because normally in quantum mechanics, there is quantum mechanics, it can say that somehow if your fluctuation in momentum space, if you minimize, then fluctuation in location, confinement, it will be relaxed. That means delta x will be higher if delta px is smaller, or vice versa. Similarly, if I see that this quadrature x1 and x2, they are fluctuating, and in turn you can see that E0 and phi naught, they can fluctuate. That means this amplitude in phasor diagram, it will fluctuate like this, or it can length also it can fluctuate. So instead of quadratures, you can say that this E0 and phi also fluctuating. So now you think that if E0 is fluctuating more, you keep constant, phi is somewhat less fluctuating, then E0 will be fluctuating. That means ultimately in your energy, in your mode, field is fluctuating more. That means your photon number will fluctuate more, right? So that is actually your number of photon in the mode, it will be fluctuating because E is the magnitude. But you could do one thing, you can minimize that E0 fluctuation, but you can relax your phi fluctuation, phase fluctuation. So in that case, your number will be fixed. Photon number will not be that much fluctuating, but your phase will be fluctuating. So that is another type of quantum mechanical phenomena you can expect, that number phase fluctuations. Okay, number phase uncertainties. So by controlling this, you can have a device, you can engineer a device where your E0 can be controlled, fluctuation can be minimized. That is one type of light, that is called amplitude squeezed light. And another thing is that your phi fluctuation can be reduced. E0 can be relaxed, fluctuation can be allowed, because they will follow some kind of uncertainty principle. So in that case, that will be actually phase squeezed light. So those two types of quantum mechanical light source you can imagine and you can produce, and they can be also utilized for different type of application. That I will follow in tomorrow's class. Okay, then I stop today. If you have any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, you stop.